What's up, y'all? My name is Christopher Reed, a filmmaker and film student from Portland State University, and welcome back to another film analysis. Today, I'll be talking about Christopher Nolan and the concept of time within narrative. When it comes to Christopher Nolan, most can agree that his style of filmmaking consists of experimenting with the concept of time, but is not actually experimental in itself. Using narrative and mechanical film techniques, films like Inception, Tenet, and most prominently Interstellar present a rather stellar use of time by presenting a rather timeless timeline that breaks time and space within these films. That's a lot of times. Another word to describe this concept can be nonlinear. Nonlinear filmmaking can refer to many forms of filmmaking such as editing, shooting order, and in this case, plot development. In this analysis, we will take a deep dive into the world of Christopher Nolan and how he uses the concept of time to create some of the best films of our generation. One can say that time and nonlinear plots are inherently connected. In the article, Reconstruction of Cinema Time by Nonlinear Narration, Wang Shimao talks about the emotional line, a nonlinear narrative method that separates images from the past, separates time from each other, and creates parallel lines of time. This very quote describes the work of Christopher Nolan exactly, and this shows in his films, especially in films like Interstellar and Tenet, where time is both in and against their favor. Let's begin with Interstellar. Interstellar is a science fiction film set in a not-so-distant dystopian future. The film follows Cooper, a father and former NASA pilot who was tasked to go on a space mission through a wormhole to find a habitable planet for human life. Though this mission seems to only last months to him, it lasts years on Earth. This is shown greatly in the sequence when Cooper and his squad enter the atmosphere of a planet that is not so kind to the time and relativity of humans on
Very
Earth.
graceful.
No, but very efficient. What are you waiting for? Let's go. Go, 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 go. 7 years per hour here. Let's make it count.
Having become shipwrecked, about 20 years have gone by on Earth, rendering this mission even more important because of the pressing famine problem back home.
Is that wrong?
I've waited years.
How many years?
By now it must be.
It's 23 years, 4 months, 8 days.
David Bordwell mentions in the article Labyrinth of Linkages, the narrative advantages are typically Nolan-esque. Once we understand that Earthbound Murph is aging much faster than Cooper, the film can highlight different rates of change in the storylines. This film, in terms of its concepts of time and relativity, showcases Interstellar's importance of an omnipresent, non-linear line, a line that is connected between Murph and Cooper. Throughout the film, Cooper contacts his daughter Murph through time and gravity, and neither the characters nor the viewer realizes it's Cooper from the future all along.
It's not a ghost. It's gravity.
It isn't until Cooper finds himself in the tesseract of the black hole that he and Murph figure out that he was her ghost the whole time, giving her the key to saving human civilization. This shows us that he is both here and there, sitting right between time and linearity, using and trusting love to communicate with his daughter. This idea is foreshadowed earlier in the film when Amelia mentions,
Love is the one thing we're
we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. Maybe we should trust that, even if we can't understand it yet.
As Cooper's intergalactic mission goes by what seems like months, time on Earth has gone by in years. Leave it to Nolan to close the film with Cooper saying goodbye to his elderly daughter, further reminding us of who Christopher Nolan is as a filmmaker. One may say that because of this ever-so-present conversation, he textualizes time in his films, making time as important as his main characters. Now, this brings me to his 2020 film, Tenet. Time doesn't only allow us to see the past and future, but also a new angle on our present. Tenet, a spy-esque type of film that again merges the emotional line, is one that moves both forward and backward in time. Tenet follows an ex-CIA agent, an unnamed protagonist who is recruited by a secret organization. His mission is to trace the whereabouts and origins of different pieces to a doomsday weapon that is traveling backward in time and has potential to destroy mankind. The concept of time moves figuratively, but interestingly enough, more literally. Due to a device in the film called the inverter, characters are able to move forward and backward simultaneously through time. According to Barbara, the inversion specialist, we should try not to understand it, but feel it.
Bullet's point of view, you dropped it.
But cause comes before effect.
No, that's just the way we see time.
Well, what about free will?
That bullet wouldn't have moved if you hadn't put your hand there. Either way we run the tape, you made it happen. Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
Instinct.
This scene is critical for the film because it presents to the viewer the entire concept of the film quite blatantly, forward and backward, which is shown to us both figuratively and literally. There are a few sequences and elements in the film that showcase this idea. No matter if it is the reversal of waves of the ocean, the protagonist fighting his inverted self, or a car that is being driven and crashed all in reverse, this constant theme of inversion stays consistent throughout the film. According to Audiodesk, Tenet's composer used technology to accentuate the film's theme. He explains that he had the orchestra play the melody backward, then flip the recording in post to give it an otherworldly effect. Through not only props and cinematic devices like editing and music, characters are also on a non-linear timeline, especially Neo. Neo is initially introduced to the protagonist as if they never knew each other, eventually revealing at the end of the film that he and the protagonist have been associates for a very long time, and will again work together in the future.
Hey, you never did tell me who recruited you, Neil. Haven't you guessed by now? You did. Only not when you thought. You have a future in the past. Years ago for me, years from now for you. You've known me for years. For me, I think this is the end of a beautiful friendship. But for me, it's just the beginning.
As the protagonist asks Neil if this is fate, Neil responds that he likes to think this is reality, further reminding us of the ever-present invisible emotional line that connects these characters through time and space, similar to Interstellar. In Rebecca Redillo's article, Don't Try to Understand It, Feel It, Love, The Void, and Christopher Nolan, she mentions quantum mechanics embraces the unknown and offers us a space in which we can reflect on the space between ignorance and knowledge. This quote sums up all of the thoughts brought up in this analysis to help one understand what is being said in these films. Time is something that every human experiences, but can't exactly describe. This is where Christopher Nolan does his best work. Like Barbara from Tenet says, maybe we shouldn't try to understand this concept of nonlinearity, but simply just feel it. Nolan materializes and adds depth and structure to time so that we may feel its texture. Both physically and psychologically, Interstellar and Tenet both serve this idea. Though they are very different films, the essence of who Nolan is as a filmmaker is never lost. When one may be confused and unsure of what is happening in a Nolan film, Let us be reminded of Christopher Nolan's interview about the criticism he
Audience members are going to
receives.
respond to each. Did it ever feel like this is going to be complicated for the audience, or did you have any concerns about it being, you know, a real a difficult thing for an audience to grasp, or did it feel that it was something that people could grasp?
Well, it's like, fuck it, you know? I mean...
Thank you for watching. Much love. Peace.